Vladimir Putin than to his own sitting Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who he has called weak, an insult he's never leveled against Vladimir Putin. Today, NBC News is learning that the president's former bodyguard, Keith Schiller, testified before the House Intelligence Committee this week that before the Miss Universe pageant in 2013, a Russian participant offered to send 5 women to Donald Trump's hotel room in Moscow. The president's former bodyguard testified that he viewed the offer as a joke and responded at the time, quote, "We don't do that type of stuff." Joining me now to detail his reporting is NBC News investigative and national security reporter Ken Delaney, and he broke this news earlier today. And Ken, in talking to some sources on the Hill, it's clear to me that the significance of this is not just the fact of it, but they are clearly pursuing and trying to either corroborate or knock down the very salacious allegations in the dossier.
I couldn't agree with you more, Nicole, and that is exactly the significance of this. And in fairness, Keith Schiller, Donald Trump's longtime bodyguard, by answering the way he did, has essentially now refuted under oath this very salacious allegation that Donald Trump was cavorting with prostitutes in his hotel room that night at the Ritz-Carlton in Moscow. But what he said was that at a business meeting in the morning with around 15 people, and this is according to 3 sources who were in the room, some Russian who was there made this offer to Schiller, hey, can we send 5 women to Donald Trump's hotel room? And Schiller took it as a joke, but also said, no, we don't operate that like that, or some words to that effect.
Yeah, I think I've got it right here. Let's quote Schiller accurately. Schiller responded, quote, "We don't do that type of stuff."
That's right.
Does that sound right? That's from your reporting.
Yep.
And that he did, though, in his testimony, make clear that when he and the now president, then private businessman, laughed about this on the way to their room, and then he left him at the door to his hotel room. Is that as far as your reporting goes today?
Yes, and then, but the crucial issue there is that Democrats were drilling down with Schiller, as I understand it, on the fact that eventually he left that hotel room and went to bed in his own room. And so he couldn't say for sure, you know, what happened for the rest of the night at Donald Trump's hotel room, although he testified that he was pretty confident nothing happened. But yes, that's where it stands, Nicole.
Let me ask you about this line of questioning, because it seems to me that if the House Intel Committee, run by a Republican, is still bringing in witnesses who can speak to Donald Trump's activities in Russia and with Russia and Russians in 2013, they are not only still running down the allegations in the dossier, but they, along with Bob Mueller, are looking at the potential financial entanglements between Donald Trump, the businessman, and Russia.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. And look, Keith Schiller, former NYPD officer, former naval officer, has been with Donald Trump since 2002, I believe. You know, so knows more than anybody about Trump's movements, his meetings, you know, what he's saying to people. And so there were a lot of things they asked him about, not just this, but also the June 2016 Trump Tower meeting, I was told. And he had very little memory of that, says he doesn't remember who Donald Trump Jr. met with that day. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really significant that they are drilling down at this late date in the investigation on what happened back in 2013 in Moscow, because, and it shows that the dossier, much maligned by the White House and by Trump surrogates, is very much a roadmap to this investigation. Not all of it's true, much of it may not be true, but it's viewed as a credible roadmap, Nicole.
Let me ask you one more thing. Put Donald Trump aside for a moment. The tactic itself, a Russian business person offering to send 5 women to an American businessman's hotel room. Obviously, the tactic was familiar enough. Your reporting also has a line in which Donald Trump and Mr. Schiller discuss amongst themselves that there might be cameras in the room.
That's right. And in fact, counterintelligence officials have told us that that hotel in particular is notorious as a honey trap wired for sound and video by the Russian intelligence services. And the message we got from sources familiar with Schiller's testimony was that he expressed that he was well aware of that, and Donald Trump was well aware of that, you know, arguing why what the dossier said happened probably didn't happen. But you're right. I mean, it's an absolute tactic of the Russian intelligence services. And the other thing to say about this is, you know, I'm not sure I can imagine the same kind of offer made, even in jest, to Barack Obama or George W. Bush, Nicole.
I'm going to stay silent on that, but I agree with you. All right, stay with us, Ken. We've got a lot more Russian news to get to, but let me bring my panel in on this part of the conversation. Joining us